Welcome back, folks. After a week off, it is once again raining cats and dogs. I am your host, Henry Jansen. Last week, we took the week off for Thanksgiving break. A lot of coaches not around, but this week, on a blustery and snowy Monday evening outside of Pickler Memorial Library, we're very grateful to be joined by Truman State University cross country and assistant track coach, as well as Kirksville volleyball coach, Missy Dempsay. Thank you for joining us. Joined now by Coach Tommy Whittaker. Tommy, thank you very much for being here this evening.
Thanks for having me again.
Coming off, firstly, we'll talk a little bit about coming off of your first cross-country season here at Truman State University before we get a little bit more into indoor track and things like that. Talk a little bit about, now that it's been almost a month ago, the regional meet with your men finishing 26th and your women finishing in the top half, 15 out of 32.
Right.
And what you draw from that and just your thoughts.
It was a good day. I think that our women's side, we had only 2 of our top 7 from last year's 6th place team that came back. And those 2 girls obviously were rock solid throughout the time. And then the 5 newbies did their thing. On the men's side, every single one of them ran a personal best. Was it the team result we wanted? No, but we're excited for what this means going into indoor track season. A lot of hard work that was done then is going to pay off here very shortly.
And so all of your athletes from this cross-country season will be participating in indoor track and field. Is that correct?
Except for 2 are graduating. I'm very, proud of them getting their degrees and moving on with their lives, which is never a bad thing.
What do you anticipate from your group, your distance running group, as far as scoring team points as we approach indoor track and field season?
Yes. So, we returned some individuals that scored in last year's indoor conference meet. We'll start with, Raina Baker in the 800 meters, both indoors and outdoors scored. We have Miss Carmen and Miss Phoebe that also scored in the 800 mile last year. So those 3 will kind of be our heavy hitters going in, but make no mistake, we got some outdoor events as well with McKenna Ledgerwood and the 3K steeple that are going to do great things, as well as some incoming freshmen and some developing sophomores and juniors.
Back to the regional meet for a second. I think that it is really interesting that how well on your women's side these girls run together, finishing, I believe, 60th and 61st back to back, and then just a couple spots behind. Obviously, this is a distance group that knows how to push one another, I think.
Yes, I think that the one thing that we've really settled into is that mentality of that pack running. I think that they've done a really good job of making sure that they are pushing each other not only in practice, but in meets as well. We're very careful about making sure we're hitting paces. And then once a certain mile mark hits or K mark hits, then we are all go. They've done a great job of kind of figuring out who's going to go when and adjusting and making sure that we have the best team result we can.
What is your philosophy? Of course, for a distance runner, it's a long year between going from cross country to indoor to outdoor. The indoor season, what kind of progression, and maybe this is looking too far ahead, but what kind of progression do you want to see over the course of indoor before your athletes compete in the spring?
That's a great question. So, their first meet's Saturday. So we're hitting the ground running. So we've already split them up into 4 different groups. There's a middle distance group that's going to be more 800. I have a mile based group, which I know the universe knows that mile's kind of part of middle distance as well. I have a separate group for my milers just because we kind of play a little bit more with their mileage a little bit and do a little bit more pace work with them. And then we have a 3K steeple group and a 5K 10K group. They've already been split up in those groups since the end of cross and have been working out for several weeks now. So I'm excited to see what happens this weekend. All of them are competing, so.
That's excellent. As you go to the Mel Churchma Classic in Maryville, Missouri, hosted by Northwest. Mm-hmm. Northwest is a school who has traditionally been kind of a track power
of course,
in our part of the world. What kind of competition do you expect to see? And ultimately, I'm sure that it's the first meet for everybody else too. Maybe some athletes running events they might not run in the future. Are you still kind of feeling it out, or how does that look?
Yeah, so it's a beautiful indoor facility, 300-meter track that's kind of state of the art when it comes to what indoor track is all about. When it comes to, the events individuals are doing, we're kind of playing around with some stuff these next 2 meets because we have one this weekend and one next weekend. My main philosophy is you're coming off a really strong cross-country season on the distance side of things, so might as well show off all that hard work going into indoor season. So we're going to pack in, some 5Ks, some 3Ks for some people, some mile and 800 for individuals that need to get the wheels rolling going into indoors and outdoors. So we'll see what happens, but I'm very excited and very optimistic about their progress so far.
Is this a 1-day meet or a 2-day meet for you guys?
Both of these meets coming up will be 1 days, but we will have a few 2 days coming up, in February, back at Northwest, actually, which is ironic.
One thing that I want to talk to you about is working with Coach Hardesty, with Leslie Hardesty, and how that has gone so far. Somebody who has been so very involved in Truman track and field for so long, not only just from the coaching side, but also the strength and conditioning side and all of those things, just kind of the dynamic that you two have with one another and how that's gone so far.
She's awesome. I think that one thing that I've learned from her is that you're going to do the best you can and you're going to give it to your kids as much as you can. She has been an awesome developer when it comes to the throws program here, and that's something that we'll really rely on this year when it comes to our point total as a team. She returned 3 stellar men and as well as individuals that are developing, 3 guys that scored last year in the shot put, which is amazing, and 2 women, 1 in shot put and 1 in weight throw, that have done a great job.
And on the men's side of things, correct me if I'm wrong here, but our decathlete graduated.
Our first place decathlete did. Our second place one is, rumbling and ready to go, Mr. Hayden Long. So we're excited to see how he does.
And I knew that we had another guy right there as well. Talk a little bit about some of those things where you guys have so much crossover. The decathlon especially, where, some of those events you'll be in charge of, coaching technique and form, where more things are her type of specialty, and just kind of that interesting crossover.
Yeah. So the nice thing about the decathlon is it is a wide variety of events, right? So, and same with the HEP and the Pent indoors. So we do have Justin, who was our heptathlete, back on the coaching staff this year, who's been handling the technical side of all of our jumps programming. Does an amazing job. Worked with all of our jumpers, high, long, triple, and pole vault, 3 of those 4 events being in the deck. And then Leslie works with our throwers, and she's done an amazing job of making sure the technique is there going to this first meet. And then I do all the hurdling and the running events. So I get the part where maybe they don't like the conditioning, but they'll love it at the end of the year when they're PRing.
I just have always found that interesting. It takes a village, right?
It does. And it takes a lot of organization. I think that's one thing that, Hardesty and I really do well together, is that we communicate with what we need and where we see this program going. And it's been really great to be at a collaborative effort with her and Coach Justin as well. So it's been a fun experience. My previous job was the head cross and track coach. So it was a little bit all on me, and having it split a little bit, I think has been a really nice dynamic shift.
Talk a little bit about what kind of vision you guys do have now that you've gotten a chance since cross country has been over to kind of really get in a room together and talk specifically track, what you guys envision.
Yeah, so I think that our main bread and butter has been the throws and the distance side of things for many, many years now, right? That's been our scoring potential. That's been what we've mainly focused on. Well, now we've brought in some jumps and sprints, and we're looking to develop them. We have a lot of interesting freshmen that are going to come in, and I'm excited to see how they do. Obviously, freshman nerves kind of get the best of you the first meet sometimes, so we're trying to calm them, make sure they know exactly what we're expecting from them, and kind of take the pressure off them. When it comes to, the future of this program, we want to continue to build. We want to continue to grow this program into the most successful program we've ever had. And I think having, Hardesty, who's been here 21 years and been here as rock solid, has had numerous All-Americans, national champ as late as 2022. I think she's done an amazing job of developing that side of things. And now, before I got here, she expanded and grew some other programs, and I'm excited to be a part of the development of those programs.
Let me correct myself. I was mistaken earlier, saying that she had been here for 17 years. She was here as 17 years in an assistant capacity.
Correct. And then head coach most recently. Yes. No, it's all good.
No. And I just realized I made that mistake too. Look ahead past Maryville a little bit. Where else do you guys go? What's on the slate?
Yeah. So Central College up in Iowa will be next week, on Friday, and then they'll go home for winter break. Then we'll come back. We'll have 2 weeks of training before going to Illinois College. And then we will go to a combined event. So the HEP and the Pent indoors for our men and female combined eventers. They'll be that following week up at Central again. And then we'll go back to Northwest, which will be a really fun experience. That's where we're looking to have some big performances this weekend, but we're also looking, into February and having some big performances then before conference, which conference will be at University of Indianapolis, as it always is. And that'll be at the end of, the beginning of March, technically. So we're very excited for that before going into outdoor season.
Where do you guys, just from a philosophical standpoint, as we're in the midst of holiday season, we're talking about finals and things like that. But at the same time, we're getting really into the heart of indoor season. Just as far as staying in shape and keeping your fitness high, what are you telling your athletes as they're going back home and going different ways for a little bit before you really hit the back end of the season?
That's a good question. I think my kids will probably find this as a surprise. I'm big on, being with your family over the holidays. I think that, I will give you a training plan, but please know it's written in pencil. Please know that our goal, yes, is to make sure you're developing and continuing to get in the best shape as you go into this January month. But at the same time, it's time to regroup, reset, and be able to actually enjoy what you're doing. So the workouts will go a little bit lighter, but the expectation is that you do them all to make sure that we're coming in the best shape possible. Which is exciting, and I'm excited to see what they do. They did great over Thanksgiving break. We had a full week off, and today was our first day. I just got done with that practice, and they all looked like they didn't skip a beat. So, knock on wood that they don't.
Yeah, that has to be very encouraging. And one thing that you had said when we had spoken a handful of weeks ago is you're fortunate to have a group of athletes who are passionate about what they're doing. They wouldn't be competing if they didn't want to.
Yeah, and I think that goes into the track side of things too. I think what we see is individuals actually having a really fun time when it comes to our program. It's hard work. My training is very different than the previous coaches. And my biggest thing is that they work hard. They do it for each other. And that goes, on the distance side of things, on the throw side of things, sprint, hurdle, jump, combined events. They all do it for each other because they want to see this team succeed very bad. In an individual sport, having a team that actually wants to see the team succeed is very rare, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
I'll leave you on this, Coach Whittaker. As you mentioned, you're already looking ahead a little bit toward Indianapolis and the GLVC conference championship. Just realistically, what are some goals? What are you trying to hit specifically within the conference between now and then?
That's a good question. I haven't seen anyone compete yet. It's been a while since I've been in the GLVC. Last time I was here was, 2021. And so I'm excited to see where we can be. Last year we were in that middle group range. I would like us to be towards the top this year. And that's a lofty goal. But I set high goals for cross country. And if I didn't set those high goals, I wouldn't have been doing the team justice, because I really do believe in this team and the standard that they set for each other, but also the effort they've been giving every day. Is every day perfect? No. They're college kids, but they give everything they can, the most they can each day, and I couldn't be prouder of them.
Coach Tommy Whittaker, head cross-country coach, Truman State University, as well as assistant track and field coach. Tommy, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Joined now by Kirksville volleyball coach Missy Dempsey. Coach Dempsey, how are you doing this evening?
Wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful as well. I'm very glad to hear that. Thank you for joining us on this snowy Monday evening. Thank you for being here. Coming off of a 10-9 season that ended nearly a month and a half ago at this point. It was the end of October 22nd. A little bit of time for reflection and just kind of thinking back on Kirksville volleyball's 2025 year. How do you feel about it now as we're in December?
Having time to sit back and really think about where these girls, where they were at in 7th grade and 8th grade and where they are now, a big, huge, difference in their IQ of the game, their mental part of the game, obviously the athletic part and the skill part. But at the end of the day, I always have to tell myself, this is just volleyball, that there's bigger things and there's better things that are going to become of these girls. And I had a senior class that was unforgettable. I just welcomed everybody, took care of the freshmen, took care of the underclassmen. Somebody needed a ride. One of those girls were there to take them. And so, like I said, at the end of the day, again, this is just volleyball, and these girls are going to make great employees, and they're going to make great wives and great moms. And so, yes, we did have a good season. We did a lot of things, but the girls learned a lot, and I really truly feel that it's bigger than volleyball. So. Something to be proud of, I think those girls have. So,
talking about that senior class a little bit, toward the end of the season, you guys went on a stretch where you were 7-3 for a period of time before losing your last regular season game to Tolton in a game that you thought you played well, and they were a beatable team. So finishing 7-4 overall, that includes a 4-game winning streak in there. We talked earlier in the season, one of your big things over the course of, I almost feel like it was week to week, was you were encouraged by how far their communication had come and just teamwork in general. And I think that was really driven by that senior class of girls. Just talk about
definitely
that development, not just on an individual basis, but that development as a team to really start to look like a team.
Well, obviously it starts from the top down, and these girls have bought into what we have asked them to do the last several years. Not really knowing the direction that they're going, but believing in the coaching staff. I've been very lucky to have great coaches, assistant coaches. And so just believing in what we have in store for them, really not knowing the path or the direction, but just kind of putting their faith in us and like what, this is what we can be if we do this, this, and this. I talked to the girls a lot about the off season and how important it is in the off season to lift weights and keep your skills up, and whether that means you're playing basketball, you're playing soccer, you're doing something, you're not sitting at home on your phone all the time. And so they really bought into that, and we did a lot of stuff during the summer. We did a lot of stuff in the off season. We had a couple girls that went to Quincy and played on a club team in Quincy, and so they had to travel an hour and a half just to practice. And so just them buying into what we had in store for them was really and truly what started kind of the surge of our season that we had this year. And by the way, I didn't even know that we won. That was our record. So thanks for keeping this for me. When you get caught up in the season, you don't think about things like that. People on the outside obviously do, because if you're losing, obviously people are like, oh, they're keeping track of everything. And if they're winning, then you're a target. So I did, those are things that I just don't keep track of during the season, those kinds of things.
And that's really why I wanted to highlight it. It was coming down the stretch is when you guys played some of your best volleyball. I think that speaks a lot to your team. Mm-hmm. Obviously disappointing ending.
Was
lost to Southern Boone in a game where I know you feel like you didn't play nearly up to anybody's standard.
We didn't. No, we absolutely didn't. And you can't have, I don't want to say your worst game, but you can't have a game where everything is on the line and not have some of the same numbers and the same stats that we've had the games prior to that. So.
And I really appreciate what you have to say about even that being said, the most important game of the year, it still doesn't define your season. Like you said, still had a good season.
No. You just like, I've been through those last games with my boys. And so I know the gut punch, like, oh my God, like we're never going to get to do this again. And these girls I've done so much with, and they know so much about me. And we've just been through so much together, good, bad, ugly, triumph stuff. Just that it's just over. In the blink of an eye, it's over. And that's really hard, because girls obviously take that kind of stuff a little more emotionally than boys do. I have 3 boys, and just going through that with them isn't the same emotionally as it is with girls. And so it is tough to end on that, like, because that's what you think of. You're like, oh God, that was the last thing. If I could have done this, coulda, shoulda, woulda, kind of stuff. So, because I still do not think that they were the better team, but
it's gonna hurt for a while, of course, for your seniors. But talk to me a little bit about your returners for a second, and just that one specific loss, knowing that this could have ended way differently, and kind of, are they going to use that as ammunition?
Oh, I definitely think so. Again, we had talked with the girls about getting on a club team. Like, if you're not playing basketball during the basketball season, you need to get on a club team. You need to do something in the off season. If it's not club, then you're in the weight room. You have a volleyball in your hands. If you don't have a volleyball, I can hook you up with one. Just again, the importance of doing things in the off season. You don't make players and you don't make athletes during the season. Like I always tell them, you don't make volleyball players August, September, October. They're made all the other months of the year. We have some incredible underclassmen coming up. Very excited about our setters. Like, we actually had competition at the setting position this year. I don't know that in many years since I've been here, I haven't had competition with among setters. And I mean, just thinking about the different kinds of offenses that you can run, knowing that you have, all these girls to choose from that can actually set the ball know like what hitters on, understand like the offense and the defense, how the defense turns your offense on, and just that kind of like competition between positions is really healthy, and I think it drove a lot of our practices this year.
Talk a little bit about, you mentioned hoping that these girls will go out and latch on with a club team. Just talk a little bit about what kind of opportunities are out there to continue competing in volleyball during the off season.
Well, we do have a club team here in Kirksville, Chaos. And those girls, a lot of the girls that are playing on the Chaos team, which is right here in Kirksville, you don't have to travel for practice or anything. A lot of those girls play soccer, so they'll probably be done like spring break-ish. The ones that don't play anything in the spring, I mean, you can play club volleyball all the way up until July. So there's clubs in Columbia, there's clubs in Quincy, Centralia, Chillicothe, that way, like St. Joe. We are just up here kind of in the middle of nowhere, with us being the only volleyball team around. I mean, we have to travel. Probably the closest I would say is probably Trenton, Mexico-ish. Those are probably the closest teams that we have. And so we have to travel quite a bit to actually play. And so therefore, the unique thing about our Chaos team is that it's all of our girls. Like, obviously I don't coach it. We're good Mishra wise. We're all clean there, but we have really good coaches, within our, Chaos program. We have a former Division I player that is, helping coach this year. And so, that I'm excited about that, like just the volleyball IQ knowledge that she can help pour into them. Cause so it's just not us saying it. It's like, oh wow, it's like somebody else saying it. Oh, maybe they really are right.
A little bit of reinforcement.
A little bit.
There was a long way.
Yeah. And so, I just, the bonus part about our Chaos team is that it's all Kirksville girls for the most part. I think there might be a couple girls from other places, but like when I was in Quincy and when I was in Springfield, I mean, you're fighting for a spot on a team, and you're starting six from six different high schools. So you're coaching, but you're not developing your high school program per se. And in the bigger cities, I mean, they're traveling all over the place to go play on, the best club. Where here in Kirksville, we don't really have a lot of, I mean, you do have choices, but you're going to have to travel. That's why I think our Chaos team is so beneficial to our girls, because it's all of our girls. So not only are they getting better at volleyball, but they're making our volleyball program better. And I think that's helped.
I love that. And I would like to think that's kind of a culture thing too, right?
Yes, definitely. Mm-hmm.
Spending a little bit of additional time with your teammates and less of a sanctioned setting. I mean, I'm not saying it's unsanctioned, but it's
right.
Considerably different than Misha competition.
It's considerably different. Yeah.
A couple of things that I wanted to talk to you about. You've had some great help from your assistants over the course of the past handful of years.
Absolutely.
Ellie Wealth is the best.
Yes, she is.
Highlight some of the help you've had along the way over the course of the past however many years.
Well, Annie Ross was my first assistant, and she landed in our lap. Her husband was an ATSU student. We kind of get lucky. We actually had Maddie Jacek also, who was at the middle school level, and her husband was a med student. Both of them played college volleyball. I mean, you just don't find that around here. People that play college volleyball for the most part in Kirksville are imports, because it's not something that people have grown up with here. So Annie was wonderful. I remember when I talked to her the first time, she's coming from Texas, and the club team that she coached for is probably in the top 5 every single year at the national tournament. And I'm thinking, and I'm trying to explain to her, now you're coming to Kirksville. This is not Houston, Texas anymore. Like, it's kind of a little bit of a culture shock. You know what I'm talking about. Like, you just can't drive and go to like all these different, shopping areas. And I'll just tell you that our high school, it's a little bit different. We have competition for spots, but we don't have to make a lot of cuts because we don't have a lot. We just don't have a ton of girls that are going out for volleyball because we compete with softball. So I'm explaining all this to her on the phone, and I think I probably scared her. And I got off the phone. I told my husband, I told Lance, she's probably not going to be coaching here because but I wanted to be honest with her because I wanted her to know, hey, this is where you're landing. because I was in a little bit of a culture shock too when we first moved here. And so Annie was wonderful. And she brought a lot of energy. I mean, she's Nolan's age. You know, she could be my kid. And she brought a lot of energy. She brought a lot of experience. And the girls loved her. The girls loved her. And so she was hard to replace. And then she leaves because, you know, they're only here for 2 years. You got to take them all you can get them. And, you know, Sarah and I are kind of at a loss because there's just not a lot of people around here that know a lot about volleyball that want to go into coaching, because you have to want to also go into, you know, this. You can't just, it's not for the faint.
In our part of the world, that's the difference between bringing in a manager and bringing in an assistant coach.
Yes, very different. Yeah, yes. Very different. And I had been around Ellie many times, and just her bubble, you know, how she gets excited and like her sarcasm, and she fit right in. The girls love her. The basketball girls love her. The softball girls love her. I'm sure Sydney would probably love to have her as a softball coach. But she'll tell you that she you know, that her volleyball knowledge kind of taps out at the JV level. But I love how she was learning. Like she caught on so much by the end of the season last year. It was just like just little offensive things, little defensive things. I mean, she knew the lineup. Just really, really caught it, because she knows she can pick an athlete out. She knows how to run a practice. I mean, she knows all of those things because obviously, you know, she's played several sports at the college level. And so, I mean, just her helping me, and, you know, shoot, she's as young as my boys too. She could be my daughter if I had one. But just wonderful. I've had some wonderful coaches.
One thing that I especially love, like you're talking about Ellie just kind of learning on the fly, like her knowledge cutting off at a JV level. Well, one thing that doesn't cut off at the JV level is her just willingness to compete and her desire to be a 100%. Competitor.
She is out there all the time. I mean, drilling bullets at the girls as hard as she can. And the girls are, you know, and the girls ask for it. I mean, the girls ask for it. You know, like before we played handball, that's what every handball serve looks like. And I mean, Ellie was jump serving and just hitting the absolute freaking snot out of the ball. And just the girls love it. The intensity that she doesn't even know that she's bringing to practice, she's bringing in.
I wish that everybody everybody who's seen Kirksville volleyball, or for that matter basketball, play over the course of the past handful of years would have gone out of their way to watch her play hoops during her time at Truman.
Yes.
I mean, if there was somebody who was ever an overachiever, and you're like, there's no way this girl now has 24 and 11 rebounds, but that was like almost a night-to-night basis. Yeah. It was,
and she's a high school volleyball. It's funny because we're both from big state of Illinois, and she knew about my two coaching places, high schools in Illinois. And of course I knew about hers. And so that was kind of our little like connection, you know? And she told me one time she was the only one on her high school team that didn't go play college volleyball.
Really?
Yeah. So her high school volleyball team must have been something if she was the only one that didn't go play college volleyball.
Well, and she obviously had other opportunities.
She obviously had a lot of other opportunities. Yeah.
Highlight your moving on. Highlight your senior class for me a little bit. Highlighted, of course, by Olivia Boyer. I know that you are a little bit disappointed that she didn't receive further accolades at the state level.
I am more than disappointed.
Ending an amazing career, and it'll obviously hurt to lose all of those girls, but I want to point her out especially first, just because I know that that's not only a bummer for her, but I mean that hurts you a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, talk about all these girls, but just what an amazing class you had, not only in like helping the underclassmen, but also, you know, on the court as players.
Right. Obviously Olivia broke several records for us, single season career for us this year. She's on the Mr. record books now for I think she's 30th for career blocks. I mean, huge. Like she really, really has done some amazing things last year and this year. And when we talk about like her stats, we don't play near as many sets as some of these other teams do. Like Helias, I think, had 104 sets. We played 62. So you think those Helias girls literally played almost an entire another season, and her numbers were still as good. So she did a lot of, I mean, if we would have played, you know, more, who knows, what her numbers could have been. She is going to go on and play at the college level, which I'm so excited about, because she definitely has so much more to tap into. And she's a hard worker. She's a coach pleaser. She's everything that you could ask for in a volleyball player, a basketball player, a softball player, any type of athlete. And so I'm really excited that she's going on to the college level. Peyton Herbst, just a great all around, wonderful, caring girl. Her volleyball skills over the last 2 years have improved significantly. She does whatever we tell her to do. So if we tell her to move your foot or make your stride shorter, or put your shoulders by your ears she does whatever and makes that adjustment. And her stats too. She tapped into several of the career records for Kirksville volleyball too. So some of our other seniors, Sam Mang, she came in this year and played the right side for us. And the right side in volleyball is basically a defensive spot usually. And since we had this competition within our setters, she's the tallest one out of all of our setters. And so her job on the right side was to block with Olivia, to block their strongest hitter. And so she did a great job on that right side for us. Let's see. Oh, Brooklyn Decker did a fantastic job. Front row, back row. She's one of those silent players that we would 100% miss her if she wasn't out there. She's not flashy. She's not one of those ones that just gets super excited after a kill or a block. I mean, she just is. She's a silent killer out there because she passes, she serves, she dives. She went from just playing 3 rotations pretty much last year to playing all the way around this year, and helped us out a lot in the back row. We also had Faith Weiss that came out this year, and Faith, she just walked in the gym one day, and I recognized her from basketball. And I kind of looked at her and I was like, what are you doing here? It was during the summer. She goes, Wealth had told me I need to come and play volleyball. And by God, she did. She stayed for the whole practice. Never played volleyball before in her life. And I'm like, where were you at in 7th grade and 8th grade? And she's like, well, I was a cheerleader. And I'm like, oh man, you got to recruit in your own hallways. You literally got to recruit in your own hallways, because she jumps this high off the ground. If I could have had her for 4 years, there is no telling what could have happened with her. But she just was the same way. She was just a sponge, wanting to know, wanting to stay after, hitting, blocking. Probably her best skill this year was blocking. Her timing was wonderful, and it helps when you can jump. And so they're just literally they're just a great group of girls. I cannot say enough nice things about it. Our girls coming up have big shoes to fill. Very big shoes to fill.
It's exciting though.
It is.
I will let you go on this. Speaking to the point about Vice, that is awesome. Wealth had told me I need to come.
Wealth had told me I need to come. She didn't even skip a beat. And I said to her, we had a huge tournament the next day. We had girls out of town. We had girls hurt. And I said, can you be here all day tomorrow? It was July 10th. I remember saying to her, can you be here all day on July 10th? That's tomorrow. And she's like, yeah. And by God, she did. I think she played every single point, because it's the summer. Kids have lives. They have vacations. They have this, they have that. So we were hurting for people. And I'm just like, can you come? And she was there. I mean, just, whatever Wealth says, you got to do it.
The biggest challenge is we just got to find you a uniform.
Just got to find you a uniform. We can do that. That's easy. I can talk to Sarah about that.
I will let you go on this, Coach. Talk a little bit about, I know that you're excited about your underclassmen. You talk about recruiting in your own hallways and 7th and 8th grade, all of those things, just in terms of, and you talk again about big shoes to fill. Talk about the development of a lot of these girls if Kirksville's going to get over this hump and make some noise in a state playoff in the next handful of years.
If you're a coach, you're constantly thinking about changes and how to make your program better. And there are going to be some changes next year. We're going to have to move girls around based on some of the underclassmen, the freshmen and sophomores that we have. We're going to have to move some of our juniors around to different positions to accommodate for underclassmen, because they're going to make more mistakes, and you're going to have to put them in situations and plays where hopefully there's not going to be a lot of them. But we are going to have to make some changes offensively as to where people are playing. We're going to have to move middles to outsides and outsides to middle, and there is going to be a lot of change. And so they're going to have to. We're going back to buying into the system again. You're going to have to buy into what we think the future looks like the next couple of years. We're not just developing this year, and that's hard for girls. That's hard for any high school kid to kind of fathom. Like, it's not just this year. No, it's not. Like, we're trying to build an entire program. And so you might get somebody in for a couple plays, in one position, but knowing when they're a junior or a senior, they're not even going to play that position. But it's less of a risk putting them out there right now. So they're going to have to buy into that whole scheme of trust and see. And so if they can do that, we'll have a repeat of the skills that we had out on the court this year.
There's a difference between a building phase and a rebuilding phase, right?
Right.
And I think you guys are doing a really good job on the building side of things.
Yes.
Of course, like you say, huge shoes to fill.
They do. They really do.
But you think you have the pieces.
I really do. I mean, like I said, the pieces of the puzzle are going to have to move around, but we definitely have it. We definitely have it.
Kirksville volleyball coach Missy Dempsey, thank you very much for joining us tonight, Coach. We appreciate it.
On this nice snowy night, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here on this less than pleasant Monday outdoors. We appreciate it.
And we don't have school tomorrow.
Already, that's official.
Yep, that's official.
Thank you guys for joining us very much in our episode back after a week-long hiatus last week. This has been Raining Cats and Dogs. Again, I am your host, Henry Jansen, sports writer for the Kirksville Daily Express. Have a lovely afternoon. Thank you, guys.